Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we're digging into something you've probably heard of, but maybe haven't thought too much about: the nonprofit hospital. We're going to uncover a hidden market where the line between healing people and making a profit has gotten really, really blurry.
But before we get into all the details, just stop for a second. When you hear the words nonprofit hospital, what's the first thing that pops into your head? What do you assume they're all about? Just hold on to that thought. Yeah, for most of us, it's probably something like this, right? You picture an organization dedicated to its community, a place where the main goal is healing, not raking in money. That's the promise. But the reality? Well, the reality we're going to explore today often looks completely different.
And that brings us to the first and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. The word nonprofit isn't some kind of moral promise. It's not a vow to be charitable. At the end of the day, it's a financial classification. It's a tax status given by the government.
So let's just put the promise right up against the reality. On one side, you've got this beautiful idea of community benefit, of charity care. But on the other side, here are the facts. It's a tax status that lets some hospitals pile up billion-dollar surpluses, and in way too many cases, they're using aggressive, even predatory debt collection tactics against the very people they're supposed to be helping.
So what does that disconnect actually look like in dollars and cents? It looks like this: $14 billion. That's what the research calls the fair share deficit. It's the massive gap between the value of the tax breaks these nonprofit hospitals got and how much they actually spent on charity care for their communities. And this isn't just a few bad apples, it's systemic. A huge 77% of nonprofit hospital systems spent less on charity care than what their tax breaks were worth. And while that's happening, their executives can be taking home massive seven-figure bonuses that are directly tied to profit margins. And get this, in a total flip of what you think, the data shows some for-profit hospitals actually provide more charity care than the nonprofits. But the story doesn't end there. This whole profit motive is getting supercharged by a really powerful force that's moving from Wall Street right into the hospital ward: private equity. And private equity has a playbook that's shockingly simple. Step 1, acquire. A firm buys a hospital, usually one that's already struggling, and they do it with a ton of borrowed money. Step 2, strip the assets. They sell off things like the hospital's real estate, then force the hospital to lease it back, creating a brand new permanent cost. 3, squeeze. They cut staff, they close services that aren't profitable, even if they're essential like maternity wards, and slash costs anywhere they can. And finally, step 4, extract. They charge the hospital gigantic management fees and pay out dividends, sucking money out of a system that should be going toward taking care of patients. And listen, this is not just a financial game. It has real, devastating, and measurable effects on patients. Studies show that after a private equity firm takes over, hospital-acquired infections shoot up by over 25%. Patient falls go up by 27%. And the most chilling part, the overall hospital mortality rate increases by more than 13%. This model is, without a doubt, making our hospitals more dangerous. Which brings us to what this is really all about. We've talked about systems and numbers, but let's talk about the human cost of turning healthcare into just another product. Over 500,000. That's how many debt collection lawsuits are filed every single year by nonprofit hospitals against their own patients. Think about that. More than 500,000 times a year, a supposedly charitable institution is dragging a former patient to court, taking their wages, and pushing them into financial ruin. And sometimes it gets even worse. I'm just going to read this quote directly from one of the reports we looked at. 56 New York nonprofit hospitals filed liens on more than 5,000 patients' homes between 2017 and 2018, converting medical emergencies into property seizures. Let that sink in. A medical emergency, a moment of vulnerability, becomes a legal tool to take away someone's home. And the damage goes way beyond just one person. It affects entire communities. When a decision driven by profit forces a rural hospital to close, the consequences are brutal and direct. The life expectancy in that area actually goes down. Right now, almost half of all rural hospitals in the U.S. are at risk of closing. This is creating huge healthcare deserts, where if you have a heart attack, your trip to the ER might suddenly be 20, 30, even 40 miles longer than it was before. The sources we looked at have a name for this whole process: personhood compression.
This is really the core idea of our explainer today. It's what happens when a system is built to take you, a whole human being with a life, a family, with fears and hopes, and it squishes all of that complexity down into one little number on a spreadsheet. Are you a profit center or are you a cost center? That becomes the only question that matters.
So, after looking at all this, you have to ask, what can actually be done? I mean, how do we even begin to bring back the original mission of care?
Well, the sources point to two really clear, really powerful policy ideas. First, if a hospital wants to get billions of dollars in tax breaks for being a nonprofit, they have to meet a mandatory minimum for how much charity care they provide. Simple. No more getting the prize without doing the work. And second, we need to mandate that hospital boards, the people making these huge financial decisions, actually include patients, nurses, and members of the community and give them real voting power. The oversight needs to come from the community the hospital serves, not just from a corporate boardroom.
And so all of this leaves us with one last fundamental question. It's really what this whole thing has been building to. When a hospital's success is measured by its profit margin instead of by the lives it saves, when a patient is valued based on their insurance plan instead of their humanity, is a person still a person? Or have they been turned into something else?